Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, man. Hunt the ball. Let's go, family on 3. 1, 2, 3, family.
Hello, football family. Welcome into Huddle It Up Films NFL Draft Barbecue. Big board questions with Ingraven today. Closing out the barbecue. Ingraven casually late. Now, is casually late your normal style, Ingraven, or are you just doing me a solid to close out the series?
Nah, that's me all day. Anybody that knows me, they know that's me.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So what are your feelings on the draft? How are you doing? Everybody's seen Ingraven vids, I'm sure. So search them on YouTube. You see Ingraven vids down at the bottom. So how are you feeling about the draft, man? You ready for it to come on? Ready for it to get started?
I've been ready for it because we have so much questions that are finally going to get answered. A lot of questions that a lot of us had during the regular season, but certainly a lot of questions that a lot of people had after the season ended. Even though it ended a little prematurely, a lot earlier than a lot of us wanted it to, but I'm just ready to finally get the answers. Like, what are the Ravens going to do? Are they going to move up? Are they going to move down? Are they going to get back in the first round again? Are they going to get multiple second round? What are they going to do? But finally, we'll find that out on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yeah, and we'll find out what we still need to do, too.
Yeah, that's true.
Veteran free agents out there, and how are we going to plug the team?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to need to make a big trade? I've been on the trade bandwagon lately, Ingraven. I don't know if you noticed on Twitter. Yeah. You know, Kadarius Toney's name came up, and I wasn't too fond of that. And then I got the whole loser mentality, you don't want to win type thing coming at me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, I kind of want Debo and AJ Brown, or that's kind of Terry McLaurin. If I feel like if you're going to address the draft, I want somebody either proven, or I want to pick out some of my own guys from the draft that I really like, that I believe in. Not really, I like what Kadarius Toney did, but I thought that was funny. I passed on Toney, and you know how it goes on social media, man. Any kind of take you have, they can take it and run with it. Love my family out there. Love my family. I got a lot of good family out there, but sometimes your tweets go a little too viral. You know what I mean? And yeah, you can get a little. So what have you been thinking about for the draft? But before we get into that, actually, I almost forgot to ask you. We need to know, Ingraven. You're here at the barbecue. I know you've seen all the nice people around here.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know, what is Ingraven like at a barbecue? This is groundbreaking journalism right here, Ingraven. You might want to hire me for your channel after this. I'm not sure. But what are you eating? What are you drinking? Are you doing any dancing? Are you talkative? I imagine you might be. Or are you kind of quiet? Give me Ingraven at a barbecue, man.
All the above. First getting there, I'm gonna be late. But I'm gonna make sure the first thing I do when I get there, before I talk to anybody, get a plate. Because if you end up talking too much, you ain't gonna get no food. So get a plate. And then I may drink before or after. As far as my plate though, probably ribs, chicken. I love white rice too, because white rice just goes with everything. But ribs, chicken, baked beans, burgers. Yeah, I'm with burgers all day. I'm super simple though. But as far as a drink, I like to have a Sprite with my food or whatnot, because that'd be good. But as far as a drink, I like dark and light. I do like dark Bacardi, rum. I do tequila, do vodka, whatever. But probably my favorite right now is Bamboo. It's a dark liquor, and I think Lil Wayne made it or something like that. But it's called Bamboo. It's really good. It literally goes with anything. I love Bamboo right now, and Bacardi. I think, which is the Bacardi that I have in the fridge? I forgot which one it is, but yeah, I'm doing a lot of the dark right now. That's my go-to right now.
I've never had Bamboo, brother. So send me a bottle of that, man. That sounds pretty interesting.
Oh, it is.
We had Winslow on here talking about that Haitian rum, man. And
Babankou. That's good.
Yes.
Too.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. I asked him to send me a bottle of that.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So he said, when he was younger, it was everywhere in Haiti, and then he moved here, and now he still gets it every once in a while. But yeah, man, we've been barbecuing too. We've been in Canada with Cole. We've been in England with James. We're down in Florida now. We were on the West Coast with Skep. So we're getting all this good barbecue information. But you know what? You reminded me of a story. We used to have these bull roasts for, team functions and stuff like that. And if you got in there and everything was free, you know what I mean? But if you got in there and got a drink and started talking, before you knew it, you didn't. The food was all picked over and gone. So like I know exactly what you mean right there. That's a solid strategy, man. Get there, get your food, get the business taken care of, and then you can mingle around and get a little extra talkative. And
yeah, you do all that talking stuff later. You got to get the food first.
What about Ingraven's music, taste in music? What are we listening to, man?
At a cookout, hip hop, R&B, old school R&B, soul music, like just anything to vibe to, man. I'm dancing, I'm chilling. Sometimes I'm chilling, sometimes I'm dancing. I do a bit of both, man.
Nice. So 90, my wheelhouse is known for 90s hip hop, alt rock, that kind of thing. You can get with that. We be listening to the same type of stuff.
Yeah, we would be. Just whatever. Nice. As long as everybody vibing, I'm cool, man.
Nice, very nice. So what are you thinking about for this draft, Ingraven? I mean, I check up on your videos every once in a while. It's kind of a big draft, a lot of picks, a lot of room to maneuver the board with those picks. Any particular position or players that you're thinking about?
Well, early first, I've been falling in love with the Jordan Davis hype. With Jordan Davis, and this is for the first round. Somebody literally just commented on a video a couple minutes ago and said, "Oh, I heard Jordan Davis is going to fall to the second." And right now, like we literally hear everything because a lot of teams will put stuff out there about how they feel about different players, just to try to throw people off, just to try to, and sometimes, unfortunately, some of the players, stories will come out about them that it's unfortunate timing because you'll hear like bad stories about them where it's like, oh, this player, he has a problem with this and that, with X, Y, and Z, and that'll be teams trying to make these players drop too. So it's a dirty business. NFL is a dirty game, but the game it continues to be played. So it's just like I said earlier. I'm just ready, man. I'm just ready for it to be here so we can finally get stuff like cleared up for who's going where, when they're going. But then this is like the final calm before the draft is going to be a storm. But after the draft, then that's when everything really comes to a halt with football. Like we, of course, have the schedule release that's going to be coming out in May, in the middle of May. But really, after that, it's nothing for a very long time. So this is going to be, after the draft, is going to be a period of patience that so many people are going to need. It's going to be tough, but we're going to get through it, like we always get through it. But as far as the draft, what I'm looking for from the Ravens, 10 draft picks. I don't think they're going to make 10 draft picks. I don't think they're going to use all 10 draft picks. What I'm looking for from them, certainly quality over quantity. But just really from top to bottom, we know not everybody's going to be a starter, but I'm just really hoping the Ravens can get significant impact players. Get guys that are not just going to be on special teams. We know enough of them, especially on the back end, going to be special teams. And that's what you got to do to earn your stripes. Enough times you got to play special teams. But just really to where they can get quality guys. Like first round, I ain't worried about the first round with Eric DeCosta. He has shown as a GM, first round, he got that taken care of. All his first round picks have been heavy impact. Like Hollywood Brown, obviously, even though he had his issues. Patrick Queen, even though he had his issues. Dafe Away, Rashad Bateman.
He takes big swings, Ingraven.
Yeah.
Takes big swings. Like definitely, like one of the things I've noticed between Ozzie and Eric is that Ozzie would have taken a guard or offensive lineman somewhere in there. Instead of these guys with the high upside is what DeCosta seems to like. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. A bit more of a risk and less of a safe pick. And of course, know that while Eric's been the GM, Ozzie's still been in the background doing his thing.
Sure.
Eric was still in the background doing his thing. So, excuse me, they've been, of course, still working with each other and helping each other out. But Yeah, we do notice some big differences when
Yeah,
versus with the different styles of being a GM.
I agree. I agree. I kind of, old school with Ozzy's draft. I like Ozzy's draft. Kind of like EDC and free agency and the aggressiveness there and getting some high price guys at premium positions, the way we're kind of spreading it out. But it's the same crew, Ingraven. It's the
Mhm.
same crew. It's been the same crew, and it'll continue to be the same crew for a while. Very interesting, though. Yes, I agree with you. I'm not sure how many picks that the Ravens will end up with.
Mhm.
But one of the things that I think that you'll like that I've been kind of harping on is to move up in from the third round into maybe the end of the second or move up back into the third, because according to my board, I don't know how much you looked at it, but that's where the real value. You can still get starters in here, serious starters, serious role players, guys that will
Mhm.
be in your dime package, guys that'll be in your base package, guys that'll be in your 3 wide receiver package, guys that'll be in your 2 tight end package that will be starters. There's different definitions for starters. It just depends what the down and distance is, what the
Mhm.
opponent is, so and so on and so on and so forth. So I want to see us maneuver the board and find the sweet spot in this draft. If we end up trading back in the first round, I'm not opposed to it as long as we use that ammunition to get the guys in the right spot,
Mhm.
because there's not a ton of superstars in this draft, if you notice, but there's a ton of good. So if we can't trade up and get a Thibodeau or a Charles Cross or one of those superstars, a Stingley that starts to drop, then I would like to kind of trade back and really like load up in that second round, third round. That's kind
Mhm.
of where I'm looking as the sweet spot of the draft. Excuse me.
No, you're good. Now, do you think that this draft with all the depth in this draft, do you think that was that COVID ended up being, not that it was beneficial, but that it certainly had a big impact on this draft?
It did. You see a lot of big guys in this draft, Ingraven. I think it shows on both sides of the line. Guys that were trying to be careful with their health.
Mhm.
So you look at the offensive line, the defensive line. I mean, it's going to be easy to find your next Brandon Williams in this draft. Like the fourth round, you're going to get yourself a good nose tackle in the fourth round. You
Mhm.
don't have to jump on one in the second or third and that kind of thing. Or like a guard, an inside linebacker, those kind of like non-premium positions, but we still need a guy in there.
Mhm.
That's what this fourth round is for, man. Tight ends, guard, inside linebacker, all that stuff. But in those, first couple of rounds, that's where you can get your tackle, your edge rusher. A couple of pass rushers from the inside are available that I really like. Wide receivers, they're all over the place in
Mhm.
any of the first 3 rounds. I know you love your wideouts, man. So
Mhm.
they are there, man. They are definitely there. A center. There's probably like 4 or 5 starting centers. You can get one in the round 3. So it really depends how you want to divvy it up in here.
Now, there's been a lot of talk when it's come to the center position and the tackle position. There's been a lot of debates, and I feel like everybody that I've talked to, and everybody that I've heard, anybody that I've seen who's written about these two guys, they either absolutely love them or they absolutely hate them. Not hate the player, of course, but
I gotcha.
would like to pick. And I'm pretty sure you know where I'm going with this. But those two players would be Tyler Lindenbaum and Penning. So where are you at with those two, and how do you feel about those two's game and how it would fit in with the Ravens, or how it wouldn't fit in with the Ravens?
Sure, man. I'm going to bring up my board on the screen. You can't see this Ingraven, but I'm going to edit it in later. I have Linderbaum and Penning at 24 and 25. Penning at 24,
Oh,
Linderbaum at 25. So I'm lower on Trevor Penning than
mhm,
what I see the analysts and some of the experts. And he's been connected to Baltimore now by multiple guys that have sources, legit sources.
mhm,
I'm kind of hoping it's smoke. When I look at Trevor Penning, I think that it would be great. We're going to have to draft a left tackle because ain't nobody going to sign to be a backup behind Ronnie. Like that was the one thing that I couldn't understand with fans. Why aren't we signing a left tackle? Why aren't we signing a left? If you were a left tackle, Ingraven, you were not coming to Baltimore to possibly sit on the bench the whole year.
That's a good point. I never thought
So,
about that.
so with we're gonna have to draft one, but Penning kind of scares me a little bit because we're talking about a smaller school guy, Northern Iowa, with a ton of penalties, and it's not just the personal fouls, Ingraven. It's holding after holding after holding. His feet, I'm not really a big fan of. I think that he's a tad bit slow footed and could get moving to guard. But the thing is, teams get enamored with that size and that length. 6'7", long. He's built like you would build him in a video game, man. Like he is that kind of, and then he's got that nasty to him that kind of entices fans that really don't watch, don't have time to watch all the film and stuff like that. So Penning would make me nervous. If we took one, I would be happy. But I do think that there are plenty of tackles in this draft that you could develop and could fill in for Ronnie at the beginning of the season. So there's some big school tackles in there.
Sorry, that was actually my alarm going off for this.
That's funny. Well, hey, man, thank you, dude. You had the alarm set for Huddle It Up Films, man. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm honored, man. But, hey, long story short on Penning, Ingraven, I see upside with the kid, but I also see bust potential. So I have a hard time putting him ahead of some of these, even the receivers, even the guys, the cornerbacks. Like, it would make me nervous. And then with Linderbaum, man, the Ravens don't pay centers. They don't draft centers high, and it has worked for them. From your Ryan Jensen's to your Skuras to your Bradley Bozeman's. I mean, they come in 6th, 7th round. I tell people, Ingraven, every position on the field is pretty much on an island by themselves, except for the center. Now, that's overstatement. You know what I mean? It's an overstatement. It's not exactly true. But you're talking about combo blocks and climbing to the second level. If you're going to say we can, get by on one position, it would be the center. And Linderbaum, well documented. He's small. He's not going to move people. He's a mover and not a people mover. He's short-armed. There's a lot of flags there. So pick 14, no thank you. If we pick up one of those guys later in the first, I'm completely down now.
Okay. And now going into this draft, what do you feel like Ravens' biggest need is?
Yes, I think we need to double dip at corner. I would like to get one early, and I would like to get one in the middle rounds. So there's a lot of height, weight, speed guys in this draft. There are some polished corners. I'm a Trent McDuffie fan. I think people are freaking out because he's 5'11" and not 6 foot. You know what I mean? It's like it's an inch of height, man. It's really not that big deal. If they had that 6 in front of his height, he'd be up there a little bit, which is funny to me. But double dip a corner. I mean, we lost Westry, we lost Averett, we lost Davon,
Jimmy Smith too.
Jimmy Smith, and I don't just want bodies in there, Ingraven.
Right.
Like these guys are going to play. You best invest in the corner position, and there's a lot of good corners. They might like Booth, they might like McDuffie. I mentioned earlier trading up for a Stingley would be great. I don't think Sauce is going to come anywhere close to the Ravens. I really don't. He's just too good. So, so I definitely corner and edge rusher. I would like to get like a big edge rusher that can slide inside and also like a speed rusher. So
to have a nice little combination.
Yeah, combination, man. Yeah, I kind of like it. What do you think about the receivers in this class? Do you have a favorite? Have you looked at any?
Probably Pickens. Pickens would be my guy. And I need to it might be too late now because by the time I get some time to really look at him, it's probably gonna be too late. But Jameson Williams. Because I keep hearing, oh yeah, he's the best guy in the draft. He's the best wide receiver in this draft. But yeah, Pickens has been my guy. Pickens because I know there's a lot of talk about him possibly being a second round pick. Of course, some of these things you just never know until it actually happens. Because if there starts being a run on wide receivers, then he could go sooner rather than later. But probably my favorite thing about him, I love that he is like a Marcus Peters on offense. And for what he would bring to the Ravens, I feel like it will complement Hollywood well, will complement Bateman well, will complement Mark Andrews well, and Lamar Jackson too, of course. And he would just bring another element to the offense and just this element of nastiness too, along with his good play. But this element of nastiness that will just bring another swagger, bring a swagger to the Ravens that they're missing. They're missing an attitude right now. They're missing just that sort of that dog mentality on offense. They just need more of that, in my opinion. So even and obviously the play would be a bonus because he's a great player. But I just his attitude is probably my favorite thing about him. It really is.
Yeah, you know, my favorite thing about him is he tore his ACL in spring practice last year and didn't mail it in. Came back and played for the Bulldogs in their championship run. So that kind of intangible is something I talked about on the channel a lot. That he proves, Coach Evans called it, the love for the game is evident when you see something like that.
Mm.
I mean, he tore his knee up in whatever it was, April, and then here he is in December, helping lead them to a championship. So that shows you something, because Ingraven, in the league, you're going to have to play through a lot of stuff, not major injuries like that, but you're going to have to play through a lot of pain. So it's not just bravado, is what I'm saying. Like, he really means it. There's some serious dog in this guy.
Right. And that's something that if people can question a lot of things about you, but if they can't question your heart, then that's great. And I was just watching the Nets and the Celtics play a couple nights ago. Then, of course, all the talk has been about Ben Simmons.
I even saw that.
Been playing. And so a lot of people have been questioning his heart. They've been questioning how much he really wants it. How bad does he really want it if he hasn't been willing to play through whatever injury it is that he has? And I don't know his situation. I don't know his background and whatnot. But just when you talked about that, and you talked about what Coach spoke of when it came to Pickens and him just coming back from injury, a lot of guys would have just been done. And you could have understood. You could have understood why a lot of guys would have been done. You couldn't even be mad at them. All right, torn ACL, sprain. Okay, yeah, my season's over with.
He's 6'2", and he's got all this size and potential. Nobody would have batted an eye if he sat out. Nobody would have cared. They would still probably draft him the same spot. But go ahead, man. Yeah.
So the fact that he did come back and didn't only come back and was just like, oh, I'm here. And he didn't just come back and be a cheerleader. He came back and contributed. So that just says a lot about his work ethic. That says a lot about how bad he wants it. And he, of course, knew that, I'm about to enter the draft. So, yeah, I'm sure that gave him extra motivation to come back and really show like, hey, I'm back for real now. So I'm just I'm excited. It's gonna be crazy when his name gets called, whether it's the Ravens or not. I'm going to be very happy or be very upset. So
it's like you got to prepare yourself to be upset because you never get your guys. You've been around long enough, and it's like the guy you want always. The Ravens have other plans. Maybe we'll address it later. There's a million ways it could go, but Pickens for me is right on the borderline. I have him at 32 on my board, and that's despite like us needing defense and these big guys available and all the other
32
needs.
On your board for the
on
Ravens.
my big board for the Ravens. Yes, sir.
I thought you were just overall, but for the Ravens, okay, all right.
Overall, yep. I don't have any quarterbacks on there Ingraven, so it's a little bit skewed, but yeah, Pickens is a guy I like. Now I wanted to ask you about style. Okay, so I think that this would help. Like we talked about the big. I want a big receiver. It's part of the reason I have Drake London number 1 on my board over some of the Ohio State guys. I think we could use some size. He's got attitude, by the way, too. If you ever seen Drake London play, running without a helmet on, shoving guys on the sideline, like he don't take no crap either. He's an energy giver. But if you had to pick what kind of receiver you would like to add to this group, is it a slot guy? Is it a big guy? Is it a speed guy? Like, all right, you get the question. What kind of like qualities do you want?
No more slot guy. We got like 50,000 slot receivers already. I feel like we have more than enough. But I would just want a big frame guy, a 50-50 guy, a guy who could make Lamar's job easier, a guy with a big catch radius, a guy who is very aggressive, who's gonna go and get it. It's not somebody who's just gonna wait for the ball to come to him. Something with Hollywood that can make it very, very tough for Lamar Jackson and any of the other quarterbacks too, but for Lamar can be, because when he's running, like you gotta have like almost extra accuracy when you're throwing Hollywood the ball, especially if it's a cornerback that's even close to him. If he's wide open, okay, that's one thing. But if there's a cornerback that's in the vicinity, you have to have extra accuracy, and you got to put that ball in the right spot. Because Hollywood, he could do all the right things on the play, but if a cornerback's right there and the quarterback doesn't put it in the right spot, the cornerback can just lift their arms up and knock it down. So I would just want Lamar's job to be made easier with another receiver like Rashad Bateman, he'll go up and get it. I like Rashad Bateman. He's a nice route runner, and I feel like he has some underrated speed. But just to get another guy who can just break the game open, man, just a game changer, a significant playmaker, and somebody with, like I said, a bigger catch radius. So if Lamar's throwing a deep ball, then his job is just made so much easier. If maybe they may, and this is not just with our receivers now, because this is more sort of like a scheme thing. Somebody who can go up for that fade route, but the Ravens have to actually implement that into their scheme.
That's right.
They just don't do it. So somebody that's just gonna go up and get it, man, like a sort of like a Mark Andrews at receiver, because Mark Andrews is that. But go ahead.
I was going to say, there's a guy in this draft that we've been talking about periodically that I think you would really like, and that's Alec Pierce from Cincinnati. I'm not sure if you caught him when Cincinnati was, making their run to the national championship, but he's a 6'3" guy, but he's got like extendo arms, man, like plastic man arms, and he's big. He's big enough where he could actually play the slot, like be a big slot. And the reason I keep bringing him up is he's got long speed, but he kind of reminds me of Andrews at the catch point, but like maybe more consistent. Just a big guy that can find his way in zone, find a little spot, be like, Ingraven's here, let me step over, half a yard, you know what I mean? Just so Lamar can see me and we're on the same page. Like, he seems very quarterback friendly, but overall, we are on the exact same page with that, Ingraven. I want a big body. If you're making plays on the move, I want somebody Lamar can trust and not have to be a precise play ran. I mean, dude, no matter how much you scheme stuff up, Ingraven, a lot of this game is broken plays. Pass rushers get paid. Offensive line get beat. I mean, we have one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best, at being able to improvise and make plays on the run. And you see what it's like with him and Andrews and that chemistry that they have, even, trying to make something out of nothing half the time. So I like Drake London as my number one receiver over some of these route runners for that reasons. I had Pickens as, number 32 on my board for that reason. But a guy I'm going to point you to on draft night is Alec Pierce from Cincinnati. If you're looking for a guy in the third round, fourth round, the only reason he's going that low, in my opinion, is because he plays for Cincinnati and not Alabama. Guy's got some real skills. Same kind of receiver, though. So what about running back? So I want to ask you the same question. I want to frame it the same way. Obviously, the Ravens aren't going to draft a superstar running back in the first round,
right?
Second round. When you're looking to fill out the roster, there's not going to be the perfect running back. So I asked this on Twitter, and I got a bunch of great answers for it. Are you looking for a third down back? Are you looking for a speed back? Are you looking for a masher? Are you looking for a guy who can do everything, but he's not great at any one quality? Like Justice Hill was here before Dobbins. So I don't want to automatically say we want a Justice Hill clone because, like I said, Dobbins came in and changed the whole room. Who knows who the Ravens want, what the Ravens want in that third back? Is he a pass protector on third downs? Like, what kind of back do you think we should add to this competition for Justice Hill, who's, by the way, entering his last year? So a rookie may have a leg up on Justice as far as, hey, we got this guy for 4 years. Justice is only one more year of control.
I say a return man. Somebody who can return kicks or can return punts. And I know that's Devin Duvernay's job right now as a kick returner. He was an all-pro kick returner. But I don't know, man. And I may get some flack for this, but that's okay. I'm used to it. I feel like we could do better at kick return. I feel like we could do like more at kick return. We have just been missing like a guy who was like that back there for a while now. Because Devin Duvernay, he's not really shifty like that. He got that straightforward speed, but that straight line speed. But as far he's not really too shifty.
The wiggle, he's tight in the hips, but he's a runaway trained. It's a different style. I know what you mean.
Right. So if a back can come in and help with that, cool. But as far as on offense, because JK, he's he's good balance. He's not this breakaway speed guy, even though he can make some stuff happen, especially when he gets in the open field. But he's very good, and he's physical too. J.K. Dobbins can be very physical, not as physical as a Gus Edwards, but he can be physical. He's just Ray Rice, man. He's Ray Rice.
Yeah.
It's so weird just seeing
With
him
speed.
play.
I'd say Ray Rice with a little bit more speed. Like Ray Rice would get caught from behind sometimes. But yeah, JK's got a little. He surprised me with his speed. Honestly, I didn't see it when he went against Cincinnati and took it to the house. I'm like, man, JK's actually got some wheels. But yeah, the Ray Rice balance and the control balance. But sorry for interrupting you
No,
there,
you're
Graven.
good,
Keep going ahead, man. What
Yeah.
about this third back though, bro?
And Gus Edwards is more the power guy, but Gus Edwards, for his size, he got some underrated speed too. And I think that they are going to use him more in the passing game moving forward too. But yeah, I guess like a speed guy, a guy who could really just take it to the house, man. And that was, I mean, that was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be Justice Hill. Of course, his opportunities were limited. He could never really get into a rhythm, and that was expected because there was always at least two people in front of him at all times. But just I say really a speed guy who's shifty. So a good combination of being speedy and shifty. That's what I would say.
So Ingraven, there's like three, what I would consider starting running backs, and then there were like 20 that you could put in any order. So that's why that was the basis of my question. Like, should I put some speed guys on here? Should I put some power guys on here? Some third down, but pass catching backs. There's a few of those, that kind of thing. So yeah, add some speed to that running back room is what you're thinking.
That's what I would do. Because that speed, like I said, you can use it on offense, and it's gonna be seldomly used on offense because again, you got your starters. But more so, I'm thinking special teams as well. If they get an opportunity to contribute on special teams, and they can go either way too. Now, it doesn't just have to be in a return game. It can also be as a gunner. Have those fast guys like somebody who was a really good gunner. He had good speed, but again, straight line speed. He wasn't wiggly with Chris Moore. He was one of them. So, and then even last year, Miles Boykin did a really good job as a gunner. So I will be thinking of like I said, a guy with some good speed who could play special teams, but can play special teams in the return game, and also can contribute in the run game too, and be able to, like I said, take it to the house.
Beautiful. Tylan Wallace too. Really good job.
Oh yeah. Before he got hurt.
Man, yeah, he was a monster. Tylan Wallace was on Gunner, and I think that's part of the reason he was active at the end of the year over James Brochet. And got a couple of he only got one catch, got a couple of targets, but it was kind of nice to see Tylan Wallace be able to do that too, get himself active on game day. It's good for him, you know what I mean? You got to find your way onto the field if you're not a starter.
Yeah.
So it seems like we're on the same page here. I'll throw another one at you, tight end. Okay, so we have obviously All-Pro Mark Andrews, awesome tight end. You have Nick Boyle, one of the best blocking tight ends in the league. Didn't look like himself quite last year, man. It was just such a major injury to overcome. I was impressed that he came back. But, obviously his blocking speaks for himself. He can line up anywhere and block any position. You want him to go get a little safety, he'll do that. You want him to handle a big defensive end, he can do that. What about this third tight end? Obviously Josh Oliver is around, but I would expect the Ravens and again, this is a plentiful position in Graven. You can get yourself what teams will be their starting tight end in the third, fourth round. They're everywhere, man. Like these spread offenses, as an aside, like tight ends aren't doing what tight ends used to be doing back in our day. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're basically like
now.
You move them around like they're doing in the NFL. So these guys are coming out ready. There are different types of tight ends, a really exciting group this year, in my opinion. What do you want in your third tight end? Do you want a do-it-all tight end? Do you want a pass catching specialist? Do you think we need another masher in case Boyle goes down, or do you trust Ricard in that role? What would you be looking for in a third tight end here?
I like how they gave it a shot with Josh Oliver, because Josh Oliver, he was a very low risk, and it was hopefully going to be a high reward. It didn't pay off, but there was very low risk involved. But you could also say they got what they paid for because it was a conditional 7th-round pick, I believe, that they traded for
Yeah.
Josh Oliver. But I would say somebody like that, somebody that a pass catching tight end that can stretch the field a little bit, that has some good speed on him. And that's what I was hoping Josh Oliver was going to be. I just felt like and this was when thought like maybe Nick Boyle was going to be healthy. But that just went, it was unfortunate. But Mark Andrews is the guy. That's your all around. He's not the best blocker, but his blocking definitely did get better than it has been over the past couple of years. But he's the big play tight end, the tight end with that speed. Like you just mentioned, you can move Mark Andrews around, which they do a lot of. And Nick Boyle is your blocking tight end. I just felt like having somebody that had a sort of similar skill set to a Mark Andrews, and a guy that's really gonna move those chains, and a guy that has the potential for the big play too. That's what I would want in that third tight end. A decent blocker, but I feel like the blocking doesn't have to be the best since he's not gonna be out there all the time. If you do get back to those 2 and 3 tight end sets, okay, well, yeah,
You know they're coming, man. You know they're coming. I mean, like it or not, it's they're coming.
So
And
go ahead.
I was going to say, I want somebody that can block enough to make you respect that part of it. We bring in a tight end; they have to worry about the ball getting ran down their throat. So he doesn't have to be an all-star blocker, but give me somebody, a personnel changer is what I call him. You bring this guy in, they're going to have to bring in another linebacker, or else we're just going to run the ball down their throat. Don't give me a glorified wide receiver like Andrew. Like you said, Andrews. I felt like when Boyle went down, he took his blocking personal. Like he really tried to take that to another level. Just his intensity, and I remember we had a touchdown. I don't remember what game it was, but he ran the man out of the end zone.
Yeah, it was. I think it was against the Browns. I think. Well, he just kept blocking them over. He just kept pushing them over and over and over.
Yeah, that was when Boyle went down. He it seemed like from watching tape, he had a different kind of intensity in his blocking. Like I'm not going to let my boy Nick down. You know what I mean? We're going to handle this. I'll do it all. So you got to love the work ethic on this team. By the way, Ingraven, Hollywood, Bateman, Lamar, Andrews. You can say what you want about their game, but these guys come in shape and ready to play. So love that about the team. But yeah, tight end. There are a lot of receiving options in this draft, and I expect the Ravens to draft 1, 3rd, 4th round. What about hidden needs, Ingraven? Are there any hidden needs on this team, or something that you think is being slept on? What do we need to add to this team that maybe the fans aren't thinking about, or maybe something you've been thinking about extra?
Inside linebacker. I feel like based off of the Ravens' actions this offseason, that they feel like it's a need as well. They, of course, they have Patrick Queen under contract, and this is a big year for him because after this year is when the Ravens have to decide if they're going to pick up his 5th-year option or not. So we'll see how that goes. But they had Patrick Queen under contract. Josh Bynes became a free agent. LJ Fort became a free agent. Chris Board became a free agent. Boyd went to the Lions. LJ Fort still a free agent. Josh Bynes, he obviously came back. But before they brought Josh Bynes back, they tried to get a Bobby Wagner. So with them trying to get a Bobby Wagner, to me, that let me know that they're not 100% sold on Patrick Queen. When they brought Josh Bynes back during the season, since it's been 2 times now, that let me know they're not fully sold on Patrick Queen. And I think they definitely want to see improvement out of him. But I don't think.
And they also fired Rob Ryan too.
Oh yeah,
and brought back Zach Orr, so they weren't happy with that room. Malik's getting moved.
Yeah,
maybe possibly.
Yeah, they're gonna try him out there, see how it goes. So yeah, that's a good point about Rob Ryan too. But I think that inside linebacker is something that the Ravens really want to upgrade. Like with Josh Bynes, I'm looking forward to seeing how he does because the past couple of times where the Ravens have signed him in the middle of the season, he's come in and he's helped them. He's come in and he's played well enough. He's come in and he's not the fastest, not the strongest, but he's very, very smart. He reminds me of Eric Weddle at the linebacker spot, to where his mind is going so fast, his body can't always catch up with what his mind is doing, but he knows the game, he knows defense, he knows ball. It's a very, very smart player, but he's not the future. He's obviously not the future. And you're not going to have the future set at every single position every single year. But I think the Ravens just need more quality depth at inside linebacker, because it's going to be Josh Bynes and it's going to be Patrick Queen. Of course, he probably has some Chuck Clark there too. You're going to be able to mix it up.
Yeah.
Christian Welch. Yeah.
It's not much. It's not much. I mean, especially if who knows what's happening with Malik. As you know, I was big on Malik. I still think he has the potential to be a 2-down linebacker at the very least. I mean, we saw him covering Kelsey last year. That's not where you want Malik. You want him heading downhill. You want him blowing up the run game. But I agree with you. I mean, linebacker is going to have to be addressed in this draft, I feel like, because it's pretty clear with Patrick Queen that he's a natural will linebacker. He's a run and chase guy. He's a run and chase guy. You go ahead and you run away from him. He's on the weak side. He will track you down. He will make a big play. He will thump his chest, man. If you have a guard coming up on him in his face, he is not the most physical guy. You know what I mean? He's going to try to hand fight, try to get around. You don't see him blowing guys up a lot. So to have a compliment that, remember when he was drafted, it was supposed to be the Lightning and the Thunder. We need that, whatever one is which. We need the Thunder back in Baltimore. A Bart Scott type guy, I think, would really attitude changer. And there's a guy out of Wisconsin, Leo Chanel, that I really, really like. If you've ever watched a Wisconsin game, man, it's like once or twice a game, he is going to lay the wood to the point where the crowd goes nuts. Has the potential as a 3-down linebacker. He ran really fast at the combine, but I think that's straight ahead explosion. I'm not sure if he's really great in coverage. Do you have an opinion on Devin Lloyd by any chance, the top linebacker in this draft? Nakobe Dean. How do you feel?
Do it all.
Yeah, I love Devin Lloyd, man. I do.
I feel like, I don't think they would do it at 14 though. If they traded back, he's tricky, man, because I think he could go like late first or early second, probably late first, but I feel like he could be a sneaky pick for the Ravens. But only if they trade it back, because I think 14 is going to be too high for them to take him. That would be something, though. That would really be something.
You know what? I love him in coverage, Ingraven. I love him in coverage because he's so long and active, and he's got that brain. I believe he was a former quarterback or something. So when you see guys like the linebackers we've had, not going to just sit here and bash on our linebackers,
right.
The guys that we've had will run themselves out of position, or there'll be a crossing route and they follow it, and then we set you up. Here's the guy that was supposed to come there. It's like kind of what like you saw Josh Bynes get his hands on a few footballs this year at the line of scrimmage. He didn't pull him in. It wasn't like an interception monster, but Josh Bynes was in the right spot. Devin Lloyd has that. He's big, long. And then here's the other thing, Ingraven. You can move him to the edge and bring in a safety if you want on passing downs. Bring Chuck Clark into the box, or, put Brandon Stevens on the field, or Geno Stone or somebody else, and you can move Devin Lloyd and just blitz the heck out of him. I don't know if you saw it, but he played an entire game against, I believe it was against USC, on the edge, setting the edge and blitzing, and was just a handful. So I love the versatility. Agree with you, though. 14, probably too early, though, especially with what we've invested in linebacker already.
Right. So yeah, I don't see them making that move, at least at that spot. Again, if they trade back, like, who could they trade with? They could trade with the Packers. Packers had 2 first-round picks. They could trade with the Chiefs. Chiefs have 2 first-round picks, I believe. So they're gonna have their options if they want to trade back. But we're gonna see, man. We're gonna see. As far as cornerbacks, even stepping away from the draft a little bit, because like you mentioned earlier, Tavon Young, Chris Westry, Jimmy Smith, Anthony Averett, guys that the Ravens all lost, and got Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey coming back from season-ending injuries. they signed Marcus Williams. He's obviously going to be one of their starting safeties because you don't sign somebody a $70 million contract for them to be sitting on the bench. And Chuck Clark, he's going to be another starting safety. What would you do if this draft night, this Thursday night, first round, and Kyle Hamilton is sitting there? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, Ingraven, I have him number 9 on my list. I don't even have to look. Like I keep looking at that top 10 just to see how I have him in order. But with a guy like him, with his size, he will find a way on his field. Because as you know, 2/3 of the time, or more, depending on the game, the other team's going to have 3 receivers out there, which means you're going to have 5 defensive backs or more. So you got Marlon, you got Marcus, you got Marcus Williams, you got Chuck Clark, 2 Marcuses. So I got to clean that up, man. But Kyle Hamilton will find his way on the field. He will be almost an every down guy. You can play him in the box. You can play him on big slot receivers. It would kind of like make Brandon Stevens' role a little bit. You know what I mean? It would affect Brandon Stevens. But Kyle Hamilton is just too safe, too good, and he can cover people. And that's what you need in the league. Like, I wouldn't overthink it. I think the line between what is a safety and what is a corner, Ingraven, is like slowly kind of, I mean, yeah, like Marcus Williams is a deep safety. Not many guys can do that. Other than that, it's pretty much here's your guy, cover him, or here's your spot, sit in the zone and cover that spot. So stop splitting hairs is what I would suggest to people, whether if you can cover in this league, there's a spot for you in the team. So I wouldn't worry about the fit too much. How about yourself?
That'd be tough, man. That'd be tough. Cause it's like you don't want to pass up on generational talent. Especially because I think about the future. Marcus Williams is obviously the Ravens' future, 5-year deal, 70 mil. Chuck Clark, I think this is the last year of his deal. It's either the last year or he has 2 years left, but he's close to the end of his deal.
Right.
So I think about the future and the possibility of having a Kyle Hamilton and a Marcus Williams back there, and it's like, oh, okay, not so bad. Especially with just the athleticism, because we know whenever certain players get talked about, whenever they get mentioned, whenever there's a conversation about them, people will bring up their best qualities. They'll bring up oh man, this player is so fast. Oh, this player can jump like crazy. They got crazy hops. Oh, this player, their route running is impeccable. Oh man, this player catches everything that's thrown their way. But I feel like if a player, whenever they talk about a certain player, and the first thing that comes to mind, oh, that player is really smart. Not that that's a bad thing, because that's a wonderful thing, because football is mostly mental anyway. But if the main thing that people are talking about with a certain player is that they're smart, I just feel like you want to be known for more than that.
Like a high motor guy or something, where you're
right.
like, wait a minute, I'm tired of hearing about his motor. His versatility. Okay, we're back, brother.
Oh,
we're back.
Oh, there we go. But yeah, I just that's why I think if we could get a special player there, like a special player, then that can make such a big difference. And that could just it'll help the defense out that much more. And that would be a special player for the next 4 to 5 years. And they would end up moving on from Chuck eventually. But I just like when players, when they're special, but you know why they're special, and they're not just special for right here, but they're special. You see it on the field too.
Yeah, Hamilton's one of those guys. His angles and his interceptions. What I like about him is he's got a little bit of the safety in him and a little bit of the aggressive safety in him. Like he knows when he can get to the ball, he's going to get to the ball. And when he knows he can't get to the ball, he's going to position himself like we saw many years with the greatest safety of all time to be in the position for a deflection or an overthrow or something like that, or to make the tackle. Like Hamilton's pretty. Do I look like a high motor guy to you, Ingraven? High motor?
You're definitely a high motor guy, man.
High
Because
motor guy. Yeah.
because you've been pushing out all these videos with all these different peoples, and that's all those different schedules. So yeah, it takes a very high motor to make that happen.
Yeah, I see you. I see you as a versatile player, multifaceted. I see you on all platforms I'm not even on. You know, I see your versatility. Your game is pretty tight in there. So yeah, we can move you around and on our team, man. Fill some different roles. Yeah, I had to get you with the high motor comment there. Remember when they asked Suggs about that? That was really funny.
When I don't remember.
Nah, it was just Suggs being Suggs, man. He
Oh
was
yeah.
like he was you know, one guy's athletic, the other guy's a high motor. There's some stuff in there as to which guys get labeled which. And they asked him if he was a high motor guy, and he was like, "No, I'm just athletic." So it was just Suggs being Suggs and messing with people.
You know, he didn't even retire yet. He's still
Yeah,
a free
yeah.
agent. I don't want him, but he didn't retire yet. I'm just putting it out there, man.
You know what's funny though, man, with Suggs? I bet you he could come out tomorrow and set the edge. Not
Oh
being like
yeah,
that guy, but like, dude, he was just
he
so
was strong, man.
natural at it too.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would just take like and laugh at him after he would do it. That was what cracked me up. You know, he would just dominate the man across from him, you know, and just be like, "What happened to you, man?" You know, it's just like Brady. He got turned up when he faced Tom Brady. But a lot of times Suggs like to have fun dominating, man,
Mm-hmm.
which has got to be so frustrating and Graven. Can you imagine like playing your heart out against this guy and he's just dominating you and having the time of his life? Like,
Mm.
no thanks, man. No thanks. It's real
And then they
Suggs.
then they laugh in your face like you mentioned. That makes it 10 times worse.
That's what I'm saying. Man, just dominating and having a great time, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Suggs hasn't retired, man. So Ingraven, here we are towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Final thoughts on the draft. I know you mentioned early this is like the storm, and then there's going to be a lot of calm. What would you like to see? What kind of video do you want to make after the draft? Like, what do you want? What would make you happy? What would be like positive? Like, what do you want to report on? Any way you want to go with this, brother. I really appreciate you coming by and stuff. So, give me your final thoughts, man. Bring me home on this.
Um, I want to be making videos talking about how the Ravens got impact players and how they got guys that can contribute right here, right now. Not guys that, oh, well, yeah, 2 to 3 years down the road, we'll wonder how to know. Guys that can come in and play that are ready right here, right now. I would hope that there would be a sort of a lack of projects. Even though that can be a little bit tricky because of Dafe Way, he was a project. And he ended up working out. And with Brandon Stevens, he was sort of a project for them too. And he ended up working out towards, as the season went on, he got better and better. But I just want them to draft guys who not only are going to play, but guys who they envision being on the team. Not the bit. We don't need to go through the whole Ben Mason, Sean Wade thing again.
Oh boy.
Just don't like use these picks wisely. And I want to see them. I want to see from Eric DaCosta and company. I want to see him get better in the late rounds. Because again, early rounds, money. First round, money. But it's those middle round picks, late round picks where it gets a little bit shaky. And I mean, you could say that about a lot of people, but we talking about the Ravens. So we just want to get more quality there in the mid to late rounds and more of guys, again, who are going to be on the team and who are going to play for the team.
I love it, man. And you know, this is a really good draft for you hear it from the national media, but Ingraven, you and I have a good relationship. You know, I'll shoot you straight, man. Like the COVID did affect this from like the end of round 1 to like middle of round 4 is just, I mean, I don't want to say foolproof, but let's just say there's a lot of good players at whatever position you need. Like I said, guys that will contribute right away in some package, man. If not full time, you want your 2 down linebacker, he's there. You want your third tight end, he's there. You want a receiver, he's going to be there, man. So, cornerback, they're going to be there. That's the thing I would say that we have to prioritize is to fill out this room with quality, and find a way to get these guys early. And you know, some pass rush would be nice too. But dude, you can't. And the other thing is, you can't. You're not. There's always going to be, no matter what we address, there's always going to be something that's like, oh well, we didn't get this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't
That's
get
part of
this. So yeah, I would like them to see aggressive. Ingraven. I know a lot of fans and a lot of your fans would say, I want to be aggressive early. To me, if we trade back and land like a Devin Lloyd and a McDuffie and a Booth instead of just a regular player at 14, one player, and then we use that ammo to trade up and get back into the third round again or back into the second round again, and instead of having 3 or 4 starters, all of a sudden you got 5. That's kind of how I'm feeling for this, man. Because unless Stingley or Thibodeau or somebody like that falls, you're looking at around the same grade of player, in my opinion. You know what I mean? For about 2 rounds. So let me get some of those guys, man. Like, there's a time to trade up and be aggressive, and there's a time to trade back. If I had to call it, I'd say, hey, Ravens, trade back early so you can trade back up from that 4th round and start getting into the money range on the last call of these starters. So
yeah, I could see them doing that. Again, because they have so many picks, so they have the ammo to move up.
Right? So why not get in the sweet spot of this draft and just unload, man? And then I'm wondering how they'll handle next year because no comp picks coming. So I'm a little nervous. Like, I'm on the same page as you. I want players right now. I think we're in a good position right now. I'm not kind of worried about trading this year's picks for next year's because we don't have extra picks and all this other stuff. Like, I want to maximize this post-COVID draft. I like this one. So,
all right, let's see how aggressive they are on Thursday and Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, to me, like I said, if they trade back in the first round, don't freak out, man. Hopefully if they don't use that ammo to trade back up, that's when I would start freaking out, man. So, yeah, man. So draft night, I guess Ingraven is live streaming. Is that the plan?
Oh yeah, yes, it sure is. Should be a good time too.
I wish you luck, man. I will be on with Ken, and I'm sure somebody will screenshot your reaction or something, post it on social media. So, well, all that fame, man, everybody's looking to catch a half stepping over there, bro. So be careful with your make sure you don't act in a fool. Everybody's got their camera on Ingraven, man. You how do you handle that?
Oh, I mean, I ain't worried about none of that. We just do what we do and just vibe, and that's it, man. Just have fun with it. That's it. And keep it clean.
Team, keep it clean. Ingraven, thank you so much for doing this, man. I really appreciate it. At this time, I just want to say thank you to my football family. I love my football family. Thank you for joining us for the barbecue series. Only one way to close it out. Face of the Ravens, brother. That's Ingraven. Raven, thank you for everything that you do for me, and thank you for being so inspirational, brother. With this, I'd like to say goodbye to people, man.
All right, football is family.